Hi everyone. In this session I am going to discuss about how to deploy the Salesforce code using force.com migration tool. In fact, there are various other ways to deploy the code. Like there is a chain set, uh, there is force.com IDE, and force.com migration tool is there. Now my concentration is on force.com migration tool, which will use the ant to deploy the Salesforce code. Okay, let's start how we can deploy the code and what are the prerequisites for that. And first, we need to download ant code, which can be downloaded from the this site Apache Ant. Ant is from Apache, and we need to download this zip file. Okay, once it is downloaded, then the other one that we need to download here is log into the salesforce.com, and then in the sidebar search, just search for the tool, and there is an option called as force.com migration tool. Just click on that and you will get a code which will be useful for Salesforce and migration. Okay, these are the two zip files right now downloaded, and extract these two things. And the next one is, then we need to make some interaction between the ant and the Salesforce jar file. Then here what we need to do is open the Salesforce ant 36 version, and then ant-salesforce.jar. Copy this here, and then it needs to be copied to Apache ant to the lib folder and paste it here. Right. After these things, then in case of Windows, I need to set the environmental variables. This environmental variables I can do it from the properties, advanced system variables, and environmental variables here. Okay, I need to set ant-home and java home and path, where you can see like ant home needs to be set to this path, which is nothing but where I copied the Apache ant code and then put down in E folder, E drive. Then Java home needs to be set on to the JDK, to this version. In my system it is 1.7. And then path needs to be both JDK and then Apache and till the bin level. Once these are all done, then we're all set to go to deploy the code. So for this, just we will check like whether ant and the Java versions are proper in my system or not. So for this, how I can check? Java -version. Yes, in my system it is Java is 1.7, and I need to check for the ant also. Ant-version. Okay, it's compared. So that means ant is also properly set. But in some cases you might see an error saying tools.jar doesn't exist here. So the problem might be whenever you're setting the environmental variables here, we might set to the JRE. JRE is nothing but a Java runtime environment, which doesn't have all the documentation and complete kit when compared to the JDK. So in that case, you need to copy the tools.jar file from JDK to JRE. But in fact, if you put down to the JDK, then it's all fine. You're set now. Then coming back to the Salesforce ant folder, here you can see two files, which is build.properties file and build.xml file. First we will see like what is build.properties file. This build.properties file is the file which will be storing the username and Salesforce username and password for the Salesforce organization. You can see here I just mentioned the username and password. Password will be the password and security token. And the other one is the server URL needs to be login.salesforce.com in case of production and test.salesforce.com in case of a sandbox. And the max pool, it's nothing but how many number of connections that I need to maintain, which will be 20. This is a default. And then build.xml. Here comes the main part. So this build.xml file, which will be referring to the build.properties file for getting the username, password and session ID. In fact, this is also referring to the Salesforce ant-salesforce jar, salesforce.jar file, where we copied from the Salesforce organization and then put down in the Apache lib folder. So it's referring this ant-salesforce.jar file also. Okay, so after that we can see there are many targets available here. So these targets are nothing but specific tasks. So what kind of task do I need to perform whenever I am deploying the things? So let's say for example I will go for one task. Which is retrieving the code. So in this target we can see username and password here. So this username password will be removed from the build.properties file and even the server URL, and then retrieve target equal to code package. So this is a folder which is available in our Salesforce path. Okay, and it needs to refer this package.xml. So once we are all done with the build.properties and the build.xml file, we need to configure one more XML file, which is package.xml file. So this package.xml file will give an information like what are all the Salesforce metadata that we need to deploy or we need to retrieve it. In our case, let's say for example I'll do one thing. Here you can see what I am doing, Apex class, and then I put down a star here. So it's nothing but I'm just trying to get all the Apex classes and then all the Apex triggers from my Salesforce org and then put into the code package folder. Okay, right now we can see there are only some 4 classes which are sample classes, and then there are no triggers available. Okay, go to the command prompt and then check. Okay, right now I'm in C folder. I need to go to the drive where my Salesforce jar file exists. So which is the sample folder here. Changing my directory. Here I need to for the retrieve code. So right now it's taking the build.xml file and then it will consider what is there in the package.xml and then it will process my request. So right now it is in progress. Okay, fine. The build is succeeded. So I'll see what are all the classes that got downloaded. You can see all the class files that got downloaded here, and even the triggers also. Whatever that I mentioned in the package.xml that got downloaded into my code package folder. And I will check for one more target, which is deploying the code. So right now I just retrieve the code from the Salesforce organization, and then I will do one more target, which is nothing but deploying the code into the Salesforce organization. So this is deploy code. So what is there in deploy code? So username, password, server URL, and then max pool. This is all common and which will be coming from the build.properties file. And then deployment route. So this deployment route is nothing but from where I'm getting the code to push into the Salesforce organization. Right now it's code package, and then test level. These are nothing but the test classes which needs to run during when I'm running this target. So first I'll do one thing. Just delete this triggers, and then classes apart from. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just deploying this class and then this test class, which is sample deploy class and sample failing test class. So in my Salesforce org, you can see the classes. Salesforce deploy class, right now it doesn't exist in my Salesforce organization. Okay, I'll deploy the code. So this is one more target where you could see it in the build.xml. Deploy code. It's getting processed now. Let's see for the results. Okay, it got succeeded. So that means whatever that I mentioned here, the sample deploy class and sample failed class should exist in my Salesforce organization now. Okay, I'll refresh it. Okay, you could see here sample deploy class and sample failing test class. So this is all about this ant tool, how I can retrieve the code and how I can deploy the code here. And the main advantage of this ant tool is, so whenever you are doing the multiple things, multiple code deployments, right? So I don't need to build all this package.xml, all this build.xml each and every time. I just need to deploy it from my command line, which I can do by just using and deploy code, and each and every time I can just run these commands to deploy the code. And one more point is, whenever if the firewall exists in your organization, then you need to go for this host, proxy.host, and then proxy port and username password. At this time you need to mention one more target here, target proxy equal to and proxy.host and proxy.port. And how I can refer this is ant space proxy, which is nothing but the target name of this proxy space deploy code. So what it will do is it will deploy the code by using this proxy settings, and then it will successfully overcome the firewall that is present between that is present for the organization. Yeah, thanks for watching my video. Thank you. Bye.